Welcome back to Persona 3 FES The Answer. We're back down to the save point floor, and it's time to confront the next boss. You see, I've brought Yukari, Akihiko, and weirdly enough, Ken to this fight. The reason being is that Zio is pretty much the only element that actually is not resisted by this boss. It resists everything physical and is immune to everything magic except for Zio. So Akihiko and Ken are going to be the main damage dealers. Yukari is here for healing, but also because the boss has Garudine, which she's completely immune to. And I also want Akihiko to debuff the boss. Now, the boss uses wind as well as some very powerful strike attacks and can both power charge and mind charge. The annoying thing is, Thor would normally be the perfect persona for this fight due to being immune to strike. The problem is that this boss uses Garudine. And I almost feel like they did that deliberately. They knew that people would cheese this fight with Thor if the boss didn't have wind. So, yeah, good job, game developers, you are evil. I'm going to be going into this with Mott, and see, here's the thing, I do have Evade Wind on Thor. I've also given Aegis the Eye of Wind. I don't know if those two stack or not. But if they do, that'll give me some insurance against wind. If not, my fallback is Daisojo. Daisojo is not immune to strike, but he does resist it and is not weak to wind. So, like I said, you'll be my fallback option. I was experimenting in the Velvet Room and I really couldn't find any personas that were immune to strike that weren't weak to wind at this point. In fact, I didn't find anything immune to strike except Thor.
Shadow confirmed. If that presence is summoning them, does that mean it's an enemy?
It's taken you that long to consider that possibility?
But it seems like...
I mean, it tends to leave us alone, but it also leaves its minions.
It doesn't seem like it's going to attack us this time either. Focus on the shadows. Get ready.
So I'll have time to think about that later. For now, it's time to fight a Minotaur. The only boss, at least Shadow Boss, in the Answer that is fought as a group of one. I'm gonna go ahead and scan it, otherwise my party members might be dumb. Like I said, Zio is really the only element that works on it, and it resists everything physical. You going fourth is not that bad. Okay, so, party member tactics. Akihiko is gonna go on heal/support, only because I want this thing debuffed as much as possible. Although Akihiko getting his turn after the boss is kind of a bad thing. Ken, I kind of want to put you on full assault. This seems weird, but I already have Yukari for healing. And healing is pretty much the only thing Yukari can do in this fight because it's immune to wind. So, here's where things are going to get potentially really bad. Because I found that if you use Thor, this thing's AI, it's not like it always uses Garudine if you use Thor. It does use it quite a bit, but it will also use strike attacks quite a bit. So, it's a little bit of a roulette. I feel like taking your chances with Thor is kind of the best thing here. There's one reason, and I'll talk about that once this thing starts using Akasha Arts, but also Zeodyne, which hits this thing pretty hard. Maybe I should have used a Sutra there. Zeodyne from Thor is one of the few reliable means of dealing damage you have to this boss, and because this boss can life drain you for around 160-ish damage, you want to be doing as much damage as you can. So this thing, Zio is pretty much the only thing that works. Like I said, it resists physical, everything else magical is a no-go. It has some very powerful physical attacks, it can buff its physical power with power charge, it can also use Revolution to buff its crit rate, at no real risk to itself because it's less susceptible to criticals, and it can also use Garudine, mainly to stop you from cheating the fight with Thor, and it can also mind charge, but I rarely see it do that. Okay, moment of truth time. Are you using Garudine? You are! That's really, really bad. And it hit Aegis. As you can see, that does enormous damage even to people who aren't weak to that. Although Ken is very underleveled for this fight.
Are you okay?
I'm kind of counting on Yukari to heal Aegis if she ever gets knocked down by that.
Please help me.
One other good thing about using Zio attacks against this boss is that if it gets shocked, you can get guaranteed crits on it, and that means a guaranteed all-out attack. So that is pretty cool. Oh, great. It's weird. I just can't figure out this thing's AI. Sometimes it spams strike attacks even though I have Thor equipped. Other times it seems to be smart enough to know to always use Magarodine if you're using Thor. It's really weird. The reason why I'm not going for Daisorjo here, and there is a reason for it. See, at this point, we're pretty much stuck in a vicious cycle. But the reason why I'm not going for Daisorjo is that even if you resist strike attacks can still critical you. And that'll still knock you down, and you won't be able to get turns against the boss. Spirit Drain. It's not so much an issue of the boss gaining SP, because I think in Persona 3, Shadows have infinite SP anyway. It's more a threat because it gets rid of your SP reserves. And here's the major problem with using Balms of Life to revive people. They usually just instantly die again. But I can try. It's sort of a toss-up whether you want to go with Evade Strike or Evade Wind items against this boss, because both its Strike and Wind attacks are pretty liable to kill your party members. Okay, that's gonna make it even more liable to kill our party members, but I'll actually take that over it not using Magarodine. Like I said, I could go for Daisorjo. I almost feel like it's better to just bank on getting lucky with Evade Wind here. Okay, so the original turn order is back. That's good. And their tactics are still the same. It's not like going down resets their tactics or anything like that, which is good. No shock there. I will say, I did actually complete this fight once, but I felt the attempt looked so clumsy that I wanted to redo it. Because everyone just died except Aigis, and the whole fight just went very, very wrong. Okay, yeah, see, it's doing that now. Also, high counter means that sometimes Thor does more than just resist that. Now it's an issue of who do I revive. I'm probably going to go for the revive on Yukari, only because if it does go for Magarodine again, she's immune to that, and then she can start reviving other people. Okay, Akasha Arts again, and she's dead again. Well, let's try that again. Okay. Well, this is even clumsier than that other attempt of this fight I did.
Hang in there. Defense weakened. Please be careful.
Okay, I'm not... I could try and revive Akihiko, but I still feel like this thing would just kill him again. I can try, though.
Take this.
I owe you one.
Okay, Power Charge. That's kind of a blessing for Aigis, because it means that she'll be immune to this thing's next attack. The downside is that it means everyone is probably going to die. Unless I do this. Because here's one thing about this boss. I was saving this until it Power Charged, but this boss, while it is resistant to physical, it's not immune to physical. And usually after it Power Charges, it will always go for a physical attack, even if you have an attack mirror up. So, we're going to go for this now. Like I said, I was saving this until the boss Power Charged. Now that I think about it, I feel like this boss's AI is dictated by... It always goes for Vicious Strike after a Power Charge, by the way. I've never seen it go for Akasha Arts after a Power Charge. But yeah, that put a pretty big dent in this thing. And lowering your attack is good, but I think our defenses are still debuffed. What I was saying is, I kind of think that this guy's Magarodine spam is controlled by its health, as in, at the start of the fight, it will always, it always seems to spam Magarodine, and later in the fight, it always seems to spam physical attacks. Well, it's mid-fight it spams physical attacks. Later on, it starts using Life Drain. And it just Mind Charged, so I'm probably going to have to brace myself for a Magarodine. The good news is, Yukari is guaranteed to survive that. The bad news is that everyone else is probably going to die. But let's see who I have. Do I have anyone that nulls wind? I have something weak to wind, but that's a terrible idea. I feel like Titania is my best option here. And I don't want to use magic mirrors because this thing is, I forget if it's immune to wind or it drains wind, but, like, it's just, you don't want to have it hit itself with wind. I could Mind Charge into a Zeodyne from Thor, although I know everyone's going to end up dying this turn, because I really, really don't think using in fact, using a Protection Sutra isn't going to help anyway, because everyone is still currently defense debuffed, and that's only going to reset now. Wow, Mind Charge single targeting Garudyne on Yukari. That's actually pretty lucky. Yes, 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 yes! So whenever it gets shocked, put your party on Rush to make sure that you knock it down, because it actually takes pretty good damage from all-out attacks. Really good damage from all, and I probably should have stayed on Rush, oh well.
I couldn't finish it off.
I'll be cheering you on from here.
And yeah, there it is gone.
No shadows detected.
So that fight was kind of clumsy in the beginning, but it got better later on, I think. And at least everyone reaped the full experience from that fight. My first attempt of this, everyone died except Aegis. For fairly obvious reasons. And Cert leveled up. And gained Fire Boost. You do, I think, learn Fire Amp... No, I want the growth skill. Mataru Kage is going to be alright, but I'm really just holding out until Thor learns Auto Mataru, because that's amazing. Yeah, normally Thor starts with Auto Mataru, because it's guaranteed to get the rank 10 Social Link bonus in the journey, but there is no Social Link bonuses in the answer, sadly. So for that we get a Soma, which is nice, and 2 Magic Mirrors, which really wouldn't have helped in that fight. So, it's really hard to tell which of the 2 attempts that I had of this fight looked better. I think this one had a smoother finish, and I'll definitely take everyone gaining full experience from it, because like I said, I accidentally continued on rather than going back to the dorm to save. And after a new aesthetic for the area, we're back to Purple Land. And you lost track of the Black Shadow again. So the enemies in this area are pretty much just repeats of enemies from both of the earlier areas. But you know what? I think maybe let's just... you know, I feel like I should probably... Because I did win that boss fight once, I actually already have a save file that has the boss defeated. So if I game over here, it's not really that big of a deal. But yeah, did not plan to just keep going down the stairs. I wonder if that means that I don't have the warp to the later parts of this area unlocked. Because that would be bad if I need to return to this place for grinding. But I think for now, let's just keep pressing on. As always, this area has 25 floors, and we'll get a flashback door at the very end. Yeah, I'm gonna have to shoot you. Not trying to sneak past that. Mind Dice and Indolent Maya. Yep, not dealing with this. Still very, very surprised that we all survived that, but that was no doubt thanks to getting that shock at the end. See, it's a good thing that that boss isn't immune to Zeo, because it does mean that you can shock it. I mean, the chances aren't that high, but with all the Zeo attacks you'll be throwing at it over the course of the fight, it's bound to get shocked sooner or later. And when that happens, that's when the real fun begins. Speaking of the real fun beginning, I'm really looking forward to getting Odin. I know that Odin is pretty broken in this game, especially against solitary bosses that aren't immune to electricity, but I'm just really looking forward to that because Odin is so fun. Again, though, like, normally I would frown upon Thunder Rain spam, but I like to use it against the Reaper in the journey only because unlocking Monad just... like, to grind to the level that you would need to be at to beat the Reaper legitimately is almost impossible without Monad, and you only have access to Monad after you beat the Reaper. So, what I like doing is killing the Reaper the cheap way first, unlocking Monad, and Okay, yeah, I already figured that out. The floors end soon. But what I was gonna say is, I actually think that I might go back and record a more quote-unquote legit fight with the Reaper, now that my party is in the journey much higher leveled and I have the ultimate endgame personas. I want to see if I can actually do the Reaper again, the quote-unquote legit way. Because, like, as annoying as it may seem, I do feel like... Well, not feel like. I personally recommend that newer players beat the Reaper for the first time the cheap way, and I'm gonna need to find something here. Wow. Just as the shot was going off, the other enemy hit from behind. Should only be one more floor left to go through. And then we're done with yet another subsection of the Abyss of Time. We're slowly making our way through this place. And I know that most of you only want to see what happens at the very end of the answer. Because that's when the unique bosses start appearing. Like I was saying during that fight though, I still haven't really figured out the Minotaur's AI. It definitely seemed... Oh. Thought that you'd just let me hit you. It definitely seems like it spares Margarodine more often at the beginning of the fight, but it also, I don't know, it tends to alternate as well, and really I do feel like going with Thor and just hoping you get lucky with Evade Wind, which even if you don't have that fuse onto Thor, you'll probably have an accessory with that at this point. So once again, we've reached this area, which still looks pretty cool, and we have a flashback door to check out.
So this is the interior of Tartarus.
Yet another person voiced by Grant George.
It's only the second time anyone's been here without special equipment.
Normal weaponry is useless against shadows. Any equipment we brought would be for your peace of mind. Everyone here has had their potential developed in our labs. That should suffice to protect us.
Ah, more artificial persona users I see. We know how well that ended with Strager.
And even if you're devoured, that in itself would be valuable data for us.
Isn't the Kirijo Group a great company to work for?
Is anyone left in the Ergo division who isn't a psycho?
Sadly, no.
In any case, sir, are you all right with this? I mean, bringing your daughter?
I don't mind at all. I myself requested to come along.
So Mitsuru is lucky enough to have 2 flashbacks detailing younger stages of her life. We've seen middle school Mitsuru, now we see child Mitsuru.
You heard her.
And this was worth it just to see your portrait again. Seriously, this guy's one of the coolest looking characters in the game.
I see. I'm sorry to have spoken out of turn, sir. Hey, what's wrong? What the?
Looks like it's back to the drawing board for the artificial development of potential.
Sir, miss, step aside.
Yes, because regular guns will totally work on that thing.
That's a shadow.
You little... Sir! Miss! Ugh.
Father!
Oh, did you see that? Such power! It's a persona. I was right. Persona users do exist. Mitsuru.
Father, I'm glad you're safe.
That was wonderful! Lady Mitsuru, a beautiful expression of your natural potential. At last, our future seems bright.
Why are you so happy about it? Now, Mitsuru can never escape from the destiny of atonement. She'll spend her life bound to our cursed legacy when she should be finding her own way.
That line was alluded to in a conversation with Mitsuru in the door much earlier in the answer, so that's pretty cool.
What's so bright about that?
Don't worry, Father. I chose this for myself. I'll protect you, Father.
Mitsuru.
Was that Senpai's?
Oh, yes.
Senpai? What's the matter?
Well, I'm sorry. It's just that seeing Father before my eyes, as if he were still alive, was...
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
Senpai.
But wasn't Mitsuru Senpai really cute when she was little?
Excuse me, Iori. Are you saying that's no longer the case?
No. That's not what I... Come on, you got it all wrong.
It's exactly as I thought. Of the past events we've seen up to this point, the first one seemed to be about getting ready for battle, but the others... How should I put it? It feels like there's some aspect they all have in common.
Like I was saying earlier, it seems like it's everyone's reasons to fight.
Don't you all think so?
Yes, but for now, we don't know what that might be.
This is the 5th door. We should be getting closer to the source we're looking for.
Oh, I just remembered. There's something I have to tell you all.
I don't actually have a flashback.
Remember the machinery and documents Mitsuru Senpai found?
Oh, that! We're finally... like, that's finally being relevant?
I looked into them, and it turns out they were things that the chairman hid when he was still alive.
So, more spoilers for the journey.
Most of them were from the accident 10 years ago, so he must have hid them so they wouldn't be destroyed. Some of the notes I found seemed to be talking about the abyss of time.
Is that true?
We may be close to discovering what this place really is. We're closing in on it. We should hurry forward.
There's only 2 more doors left in the Desert of Doors, so we're definitely getting close. And, since Fuka doesn't get a flashback and we're on to the girls now, it means that a certain someone's flashback is coming soon. Maybe it will reveal the reasons why she suddenly turned into a jerk. Or maybe not. Yeah, as I was saying, only 2 left. And as always, after a flashback, everyone has something to say. And I was about to mention how, something she said there may have been foreshadowing, but, yeah. That's a pretty dark way of talking about your elemental weaknesses. Huh. She was going about it in a weird way first, but she seems to be getting better now. Huh. Well, here's the thing. I wish that you could do that, but in reverse. I wish that you could go back and tell your younger self how you would act during the answer, and get her to come and slap you now. Because that's really what you need. Though we are actually starting to see a lot more hints of foreshadowing in these lines here. Yeah, they were both orphans, from what I remember. Yeah, definitely. But not every high-class family has to deal with paranormal abominations on a daily basis. So, I guess we're wondering that at this point. Yes, I wonder. Again, if you played later Persona games, you'll know that, but at the time, it wasn't fully revealed yet. Yeah, well, the thing is that Fuka doesn't have a flashback, because I feel like the reason why she doesn't is that we already really saw her awakening during the main story, so there's not really that much of her origin story that we didn't already witness firsthand. And that should be everyone. So, let's go ahead and save here, and next time we'll be going into the second last of the doors, where we're definitely making our way through this. From what I've read, the answer has an estimated time of 30 hours, and I'm 18 hours in, but that's including grinding and waiting for videos to compress. So I feel like that estimate on the back of the box was... I think it was on the back of the box anyway, but I think that was pretty reasonable, but again, that does include grinding, so you're not seeing all of this. Anyway, we're getting pretty close to the end of it. So next time, we continue on.